Emily Taylor is a security specialist at Chatham House and CEO of Oxford Information Labs and joins me now. The difficulty and the way out of this, because a legal process has begun and it's almost impossible, even if the US drops its claim, for this to be sorted out quickly and easily.
Yes, indeed. And it's still playing out in so many different channels. You've had the detention of Meng Wanzhou, as your reporter described as well. There are the two Canadian nationals, Michael Spavor and Michael Kovrig, who are also being detained. The backdrop to all of this is the US-China trade negotiations. And at various points, President Trump has hinted that various concessions might be made if progress is made in the trade talks, and this does help to give the impression that these people are being detained as part of the wider geopolitical move.
Now, if that is the case, and I don't think few would doubt it, one can see that in China the ability to release people would be a lot easier than for the Canadians just to simply say, well, it was all a mistake, off you go, on a plane back home, because that would draw into question the whole rule of law, the whole propriety of the prosecutorial system.
Yes, well, of course, the timing of Ms. Meng's detention, her arrest in Vancouver, did raise eyebrows because it was so close to key talks. However, the Canadians were absolutely adamant, quite rightly, about the separation of powers, that this is a judicial process, this is not part of the executive action. However, the critics do make those comments that the timings of key moments in this Huawei saga, as it has unfolded over the last year, have a lot of coincidence with the trade talks.
So for your understanding of Huawei and how it's doing at the moment, the CEO also told Christy Lusage earlier in the week that Huawei could become the #1 smartphone maker in the world, even though it no longer has access to Google products within it. But Huawei seems... Look, we don't really know what the situation is, but if we believe what they say, they seem to be able to shrug off a virtual boycott from the US.
I don't know if it's shrugging off. I think there's been a lot of contingency planning, a lot of stockpiling, for example, of chips, because the ban that was announced in May had a devastating impact on suppliers to Huawei. Don't forget that Huawei spends an estimated $11 billion per year on US suppliers. Google is a large one, but there are many other smaller ones who would be affected by this. So Huawei is definitely planning, and one of the interesting aspects of this America First policy is that, a lot of us have been scratching our heads for years, wondering how on earth to break the monopoly almost of US Silicon Valley firms being tech leaders. Maybe President Trump has found a way with this ban, because it is forcing Huawei to really be self-sustaining, to own its own supply chain, or at least make sure that it can guarantee its supplies.
Emily, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Much appreciated. We'll talk more about this in the future. Thank you.